Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday to all of you. I decided to continue with those spiritual topics for Sunday because I think it's a good change, and those news reports sometimes can be very energy draining. So today I have a topic that, as I am bringing this to you, I am learning about, and that is about the icon, very important icon in Russia, that is called, not just in Russia, but since we are talking about some prophecies or some predictions for Russia mainly on Sundays, the icon is called the Lady of Kazan and is called the protection of Russia as well. I came across an interesting article and I will read this to you in a second, but before I do that, I would like to ask those of you who have any knowledge about especially this topic that I am delivering to you today, please put in the comments down below. I know I have many Russian viewers. You can share your knowledge with us, and also those of you who are from Orthodox churches who know about the importance of this icon. Many other icons for that matter. Actually, in Poland there is a painting, you can say an icon, of Mary with the child Jesus, with baby Jesus, Matka Boska Częstochowska, that is from Częstochowa. And I personally went there many years ago with my parents, and I have to tell you, maybe one day I will be giving you the story about that icon, because the energy of that icon, the place itself, Częstochowa, which is the church, is built on the top of the mountain. It's kind of like a pilgrimage when you go there. And when I went there, I was still living in the United States. I was visiting my parents here in Poland, and I asked them to go there with me. I wanted to go there, so they joined me. And I have to tell you guys, I was right in the moment of big decision making in US, and I was about to move to New York City from where I lived in that time, from Las Vegas, by myself. It was not easy decision, and I prayed for courage and strength and protection with that move. And I will never forget, not only that my prayers had been answered, of course I took action, right? But I trusted in that. But I remember the number of crutches that were on the walls as a symbols of how many people have been healed after being there and praying there. So why I'm bringing you this story, because Mary from Częstochowa, Matka Boska Częstochowska, is one of those icons that have that much significance and power as the Lady of Kazan. That's why I decided to tell you this story, and it actually will be mentioned in this article. So when you Google the Lady of Kazan, the protection of Russia, which is the painting of the Mary with the baby Jesus, the icon was found in 1579 in the city of Kazan, and therefore all copies of the icon must be painted from that date forward. The original icon was carried by Prince Pozarski into battle against the Poles, and it began to take on a military nationalistic reputation. This is what you see first when you Google the Lady of Kazan. And here is the article that you will find down below in the description box. So let me read you this. I hope you're okay with this video. 100 years ago, at the height of a cultural about-face in Russia, Mary appeared to 3 shepherd children in Portugal, predicting an encouraging prayer for Russia's conversion. Years later, a well-known and beloved Russian Orthodox icon known as Our Lady of Kazan, commonly referred as to the protection of Russia, would become tied to the site of Fatima, the word I don't know, so bear with me, appearances, right, showing up, where Mary predicted that the Holy Father will concentrate Russia to me, and she shall be converted, and a period of peace will be granted to the world. I know I mispronounced the word here, but you know what I mean. Looking back into Russia's history, it is clear that the Virgin Mary has had a very strong cultural influence in the country from its religion to its art and architecture. In fact, before the revolutions of 1917, which overthrew the Russian Empire and led to the establishment of the Soviet Union, Russia was colloquially known as the House of Mary, since there were many shrines and churches dedicated to Our Lady than in any other country at that time. You see, I didn't know that Russia had more shrines and churches dedicated to Mary than any other country at the time. According to veteran Vatican analyst Robert Moynihan, who has an extensive knowledge of Russian culture, the majority of Russian icons depict Mary with the child Jesus, that shows Mary with child Jesus. An icon, he explained, is a sacramental, as it were, which allows the reality of the person to be perceived in a prayer and in meditation. So, in looking at these icons, the Russian people are communing with the Virgin Mary, and they have a profound relationship on a spiritual level with Mary. Before I continue, you know, when I'm in Russia, every time, many times, even though I wasn't born and raised in the Orthodox church, I love to go to those churches and lit candles there and look at those icons, and I see how people pray at the front of them, how they communicate, how there's an energy exchange. So before I continue, I just wanted to share that, because it doesn't matter from what religion you come. If you travel to Russia, it's good to go to those places and experience that, I just want to say, if you haven't been there yet. And there are unarguably far more varieties of icons represented by the Virgin Mary paintings in Russia iconography than any other figure. Most Russian icons representing Mary are divided into 4 broad groups: the tenderness, the guide, the sign, and the hymn. So the other names here is the Eleusa, the Odigitria, the Oranta, and the Akatist. Many of the world's most famous icons today are images of Mary found to be miraculous, like the one, for example, in Częstochowa too, including the Vladimir, Smolensk, Kazan, and Częstochowa images. So you see they mention Częstochowa here as well. Aside from Poland's Częstochowa icon, each of these are from and are currently found in Russia. So those 4 icons, that is in Smolensk, Vladimir, Kazan, and Częstochowa, only Częstochowa of course is in Poland, and the rest is in Russia. Now I'm not surprised, you know, I'm learning this, like there is such in history in Poland as well, that icon of Mother Mary from Częstochowa, this is huge for Polish people, you know, those who believe, it's huge, the significance of that painting. Our Lady of Kazan is by far one of the most famous images in Russian Orthodoxy, and it has a unique history linking it to the Catholic Church and to the Fatima appearances. The icon itself dates back, this is different date here, you see than in the Google, dates back to at least 1569, when it was found in the town of Kazan, located roughly 500 miles east of Moscow. At that time, the area was caught in a conflict between the Volga Tatars and the Tsardom of Russia. According to tradition, one night a little girl had a dream in which Our Lady appeared to her and told her to go to the ruins of a church that had been burned down. And there you will find my image. That's what the lady, Mother Mary, said to that girl. The child's mother refused to let her go out, arguing it was too dangerous. However, after having the dream for 2 or more consecutive nights in a row, Our Lady said she would become upset if the girl didn't go. So the next morning, the child's mother, accompanied her to the church, where they saw a golden light amid the ashes. Then, when they brushed the soot away, they saw that they were holding an image of Mary and the child Jesus, and that it was glowing. The story, huh? As they were holding it, a blind man in the area was said to have regained his sight, and the image became known as the Miraculous icon. Word of the event spread and eventually reached the Tsar in Moscow, who asked that the image will be brought to the capital. Over the centuries, the icon became known as the protection of Russia. Moynihan, so that person, that Vatican expert, said, explaining that whenever Russia would engage in a war, the Tsar would call the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church to the Patriarch, so then the Patriarch left the icon in front of the army and prayed for Russia's protection, and although the country suffered great loss, Russia was never conquered. Interesting story, huh? This is a great story. The icon was eventually placed in Moscow's Cathedral of Our Lady of Kazan, which sat directly across the street from the Kremlin. Guys, can you believe this? Maybe I should attach the video down below. Yes, I will do this. There is a church, I mean, this is like right in like Red Square area, right across from the Kremlin. The church I have passed hundreds of times. I was inside there, right? I recorded a video many times, and one at the front of this church, but in one of those videos, actually, I was able to capture on the recording, well, I cannot capture, but the sound of bells coming from this church. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find this video and put right down below so you can see the church and you can see how beautiful it is, and you can actually see there is an icon on the top of this church right above the entrance. And I didn't know this is such an important church. However, in 1918, after the Bolsheviks came to power, the icon was taken from the church and sold to an art dealer in Warsaw, and it ended up in the possession of an English nobleman. I don't know why this is a nobleman, nobleman who hung the image on the wall of his house in London. Imagine the guy has this icon and he's buying this, right? I think he's aware of it. Is he aware of it? I don't know, I believe so. Maybe he wasn't. What was hanging at his house in London? Years later, in 1950, a Russian Orthodox bishop happened to be visiting the house and recognizing the image, telling the owner he was in possession of the protection of Russia. After his death, the icon was purchased from the estate by the Blue Army of Fatima, that is an international organization dedicated to spreading Our Lady of Fatima's message in the world. In the 1960s and in the 1970s, a chapel was built to house an icon at the Fatima shrine in Portugal. So the Kazan image ironically ended up in the same place from which Our Lady in 1917 asked the three shepherd children to pray for Russia. Asked that it will be consecrated, finally I pronounce it, consecrated to her Immaculate Heart, and predicted that it would be converted. When John Paul II was elected Bishop of Rome in 1978, I'm not sure, I think it was 1979, it says 1978, he had wanted to return the icon to Russia, but it was impossible while the country was under communist rule. So when the Iron Curtain fell in 1991, within a few days the Polish Pope called the Vatican's ambassador to Portugal and asked that the icon, the Kazan icon, be brought to him in Rome so that he could carry it back to Russia. This expert, Vatican expert, Moynihan, who had already developed a strong interest in Russia at that point, began to become curious about the image as plans for Pope's trip to Russia fell through. At one point he asked St. John Paul's secretary if the story about Our Lady of Kazan was true, and in response was told that it was in fact true, and he was invited to come see the image for himself in his apartment. I stood in front of the icon on the mantelpiece in the Pope's study, and I felt a sense of vertigo, because looking at the eyes of the icon, I felt that Mary was both tender and severe, and was both present and distant, and was both in time and out of time. However, the Russian Orthodox Church did not want icon to be returned during a Pope visit for fear that it would seem like a triumphant return for the Catholic Church and not for the Orthodox. In the end, the icon was handed over in 2004 by Cardinal Walter Kasper, then the president of the Pontifical Council for Promoting Christian Unity, and Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, then the Archbishop of Washington, who traveled to Moscow and placed it in the hands of Patriarch Alexei II. Moynihan, that expert with a strange last name, reflected on the icon's importance for the Russian people. Quoting him now, "It seems to me that there is a profound veneration in Russia for eternal things, for the eternal motherhood of Mary, and that this is still percolating in the dusty soil of the communist ideology," he said, describing it as a kind of holy grace that is attached to the icon of Kazan. He said, "This grace is still working its way through the history of Russia, and thanks in part to St. Paul II, this story is still not finished." What a fascinating story. I didn't know about it, I have to tell you. So it looks like Russia is in possession of this icon, right? Russia is protected. Doesn't mean it's not going through the hardship. But you know, in Poland, the role of Mother Mary is very, very important. I don't know too much about the Orthodox Church, I have to admit. I am fascinated by it. I definitely feel the energy of those places, those churches when I go there. And I love the icons actually. I started to make my little collection of icons when I was in Russia. And of course they are not original, very expensive ones, but I feel when I go to those churches and those shops that sell them, those gift shops, because in many of those churches you can purchase the candles and you purchase those icons or the books or other things, you know, related to the symbols, the faith. I have to tell you, for me personally, I feel like they are in a way calling me. So to me they hold enormous significance. But that's what I have for you today, and I will end this video with 2 comments of the day from my latest spiritual video, I will call it this way if you're okay with that. The first one is from Giorgio Dimitrov. I think you're probably from Georgi Dimitrov. I think you might be from Greece or maybe from that region. And you say something that I really appreciate. "It is amazing to me that you are Polish, but you do not hate Russia. This is praiseworthy." Thank you so much. I know it's not typical approach that Polish people have towards Russia, but I'm one of those that do exist. I'm not the only one, that I can promise you. The second comment is from Minx, who says, "Russia is on the moral high ground. The people have been to hell and back. They are strong and they see through the lies. Bless you, Anya. Much love." Bless you too, Minx, and much love to you as well. Thank you so much, guys, for watching today, for hitting this like, for watching this kind of videos, because it means a lot to me that you are open to approaching the topics in this way as well. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much money you send, no matter how much weapon you have, if you don't have a strong spirit and you don't believe in something higher and bigger than yourself, then you're not gonna survive. You're not gonna make it. No matter what are the resources, Even if you look at the people who are very wealthy and in the position of pretty much, you know, having access to everything, sometimes the irony is when they establish this very, very strong, financially stable lifestyle, their spirit is not strong, they don't have faith in anything, they live in constant fear of losing it, and they indeed manifest what they are fearful about, so they lose it all. I believe in Russia's strength because I've been there, I've seen the places, I've met many people, I know how strong and resilient they are, and they have trust in God and higher power, and that's what is the most important. With this being said, I want to thank all of you, my audience, for your support. Thank you so much to all of you who have joined my membership on this channel, because this is monthly support and it's $2.90 or 99, $3 per month, and it helps me a lot. Thank you to my local supporters, that is a little higher monthly support, I think around $5 or $10, and my Patreon supporters as well. Thank you to everyone who donates thanks through the super thanks on my channel or on PayPal as well, fundraiser, buying me a coffee. I see you all, guys. I don't thank you personally, this is like general thank you to everyone. And thank you to those who don't donate financially, but you watch my videos to the end, you click this thumbs up and you leave the comments down below and you just send me your loving, supporting energy. I wish you a wonderful Sunday, lots of love, and remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. Bye everyone.